This is Leaf Life. All things cannabis for all people. Now, Ricker and the Bearded Lorax.
We publish a free magazine called The Leaf that is available in print in 13 states at your local cannabis retailer. You can also find us online at leafmagazines.com. I'm Mike Ricker, your host of Leaf Life, with my co-host and partner at The Leaf, Wes Abney. He's also the founder, also known as the Bearded Lorax.
I speak for the trees.
And of course, there's AJOG.
Hola, aloha, OGs.
And Mary J. White.
The smoking female.
Since the early 2000s, the most popular card game in American casinos is no longer 7-card stud. And now with online poker and the game's appearance on television and in film, not only is there no limit to some of the betting, but to the game itself. This is Texas Hold'em.
Gotta know when to hold 'em.
Know when to fold up. Know when to walk away.
Know when to run.
Light a J.
So our first segment, All In. And our second segment, Other Poker Games. But before we get educated, we just got to sing. You gotta know when. No, just kidding. We've got to get medicated, so let's get stoned. Woo! You know, Mary?
Yes, sir.
It's all about the bluff.
Ain't it?
Wherever your day has led you, now it's time to fire up, chew up, or drink up, but get in the mood as we introduce this show's Greg the Guinea Pig.
Hi, I'm Greg, and Ricker used to try his weed out on me. But now it's someone else's turn to be the guinea pig.
Hey, we got a card player here. Nathan McKnight is the procurement specialist for SPARKETT Cannabis Retail in Port Angeles, Washington, over on the peninsula, and an avid Texas Hold'em player. Nathan, welcome to the Leaf Life podcast, brother.
Honored to be here. Thank you.
My guys,
Nathan.
First podcast ever, Mary.
Seriously?
Yes.
Nathan,
I'm
you're
a virgin. I am.
We'll
Mary,
help you.
Mary
Thank
can
you.
take care of that for you, brother.
Well, she said I was going to be on a couch earlier with her.
That's the casting couch.
That's the casting couch.
Okay.
Yes.
But I know nothing about it.
Okay.
But she's in charge of HR, so we're
Yeah.
good, bro.
Okay,
So-
I'll talk to her first.
Hey,
then.
let's find out what Nathan's going to be hitting as we spin AJ's wheel to see what's in AJ's stash.
And now, what's in AJ's stash?
Go.
All right, AJ, good spin. What's coming out of that big old fat bag with nothing but goodies in it?
All right. So we got some OG Diesel by Zatix.
Zatix.
Yeah,
That
these guys
packaging.
are out of California.
Yeah.
They
North-
only harvest the best
Yeah.
exotic strains. and-
Operations in SoCal, grow in NorCal. These guys are all over the place down there. Chris is the owner. He's a cool dude. I see him at all the events now that I live in Southern California, and their packaging's pretty sweet. Go ahead and hit that, Nathan. Hitting out of the My Bud vase there. And AJ, you and I were talking before the show how they helped put on the Zolympics
Yeah,
down
these
in
guys.
Los Angeles.
These guys helped put on the ZA Olympics, or at least were like very involved in the original ZA Olympics. That I think they just had it the first year last year.
What is the ZA Olympics?
I believe it was basically, the best coming together, exotic strains specifically, and because there's a lot of exotic strains harvested out of California specifically.
For sure. And these days, Mary, every S is replaced with a Z.
Right.
So that kind
Totally.
of depicts, right, the modern cannabis strains, cookies with an S, but like
Runts.
Skittles, Runts,
Yeah,
the Z on
those
the end.
Zs.
Yeah.
Yep, for trademark reasons,
So
of course.
that was
but-
indicative
I get
of the
it.
strains that were mostly profiled at the ZA Olympics. How'd
And
that
they-
taste, Nathan?
That tasted delicious, actually. And I think the Z came from a kind of a F you to the man in a way, that was the way of putting that on there from, you have to call it pre-roll, at least we can throw a Z on Skittles now, that's what we're going to take advantage of. So, yep.
Makes sense.
Hey, well,
Keeps you out of the courtroom,
all the different
Mary.
angles, all the different angles. Yeah, those guys actually created restash jars too, and to preserve their herb, because some of the best herb out there is preserved in these awesome jars. So
Yeah, and that's AJ's company. The Restash jar is a mason jar with a really cool lid, a really cool outside. What is it?
it's
Plastic?
actually,
or-
it's made out of silicone, you guys, which is widely available on Earth because it's made out of sand. And anyways, long story short, drop proof mason jar right here, the world's first drop proof mason jar, and it's a cannabis growler in our state. Our home state is Oregon, where we create these in Bend. It's all USA made, and we're actually one of Mason Jar's top 5 clients.
Cool.
And this one in particular is branded with the Leaf Life podcast.
Yeah, baby.
All kinds of collabs. It's Restash. Thank you for bringing those in here, AJ.
Yo.
Really cool way to stash your weed. That's how I stash my bud. Every time I
Mason
take the
jars.
label off of the jar that I bought or got somehow from a carrier pigeon, and I put it on the Restash jar so I know what I'm smoking.
Boom.
You're so smart.
And every time you open that baby, it's like fresh smells.
Yes,
So go to
fresh to death.
restash.com. All right, Nathan. So all in, baby. That's a term used in poker. Texas Hold'em is where you know you got a hand that's not going to fail. You take your entire pot and you just push it in the middle.
Fuck it.
Very audacious, brother. So you belong to a Texas Hold'em league, correct? And you guys play weekly. And this is your jam, bro, besides procuring quality cannabis at SPARKETT.
Yeah. Yeah, me and some buddies get together, usually some coworkers, other people selling some weed, buying some weed, getting together, owners and whatnot. We all play once in a while, get together and have a good time.
What is it about Texas Hold'em? Because, growing up for Mary and me, we're Gen Z. Oh, wait, Gen X. Jeez, Mary.
I'm a boomer.
Shh. Oh, stop it. No. We're up there, on the precipice of being Gen
Death.
X. Barely 37.
I get it.
Yeah.
We remember back in the old days when 7-card stud was the game that my older brothers grew up playing, or 5-card draw. There are other poker games, and you'll see them in casinos still, but they fell off the wagon as soon as Texas Hold'em became popular. What is it about it that made it so damn popular? Because everybody forgot all the other card games at least for the most part, and started playing this and holding leagues, and it's been going now for about 20 or 30 years. I mean, it is hot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was, it's one of the easiest ones to learn.
Okay.
Texas Hold'em. And another one reason, so because of that, you have, my father, who's, older gentleman as well, and my best friend, he's a younger guy, and they would probably never hang out together. And they come to poker games often. And because of this, I think the last poker game, my father adopted him, out on the poker game right there in front of everybody,
Oh my God.
So, it just brings people together, young, old, doesn't matter.
So did it start back in the Western days when they were playing a lot of cards, or was Texas Hold'em a relatively new game?
It started probably, I think, back in I think it was
Illinois, you were going to say, bro.
I think I was almost going to say Illinois off the top of my head.
Okay, doesn't matter where, but
New Orleans is where Texas Hold'em was started, though. That's where Texas Hold'em was started and got its uprising. So I'm not familiar with a lot of other poker games, actually, except for Texas Hold'em. I played that a lot. Yeah. I've always watched my grandparents and everybody else play a lot of different poker games, and it seemed like that games were not as fun as Texas Hold'em. We all just started playing Texas Hold'em more than anything.
Well, what makes it? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Explain Texas Hold'em.
Yeah.
Like the basic. How many cards are there? How are they dealt? In a nutshell.
And how do you play it when you're stoned?
Right, that's the best part about
Great
that.
question.
You get better and better as you get stoned.
Wow.
Really?
Yes, because it's a slow man's game. You can take your time. You get to sit there. You can take 5 minutes to bet or check or fold. You don't have
I
to
see.
rush at all. You
There's
can
a
roll a
build-up.
joint. You can take a hit. That's the best part about it. And the way it works is everybody gets dealt 2 cards.
Okay.
And then everybody plays off of 6 cards that are laid out.
Which 6 cards?
well, they're in the middle. So you get 2 cards,
Okay.
and then there's 6 cards in the middle that are sort of a community deal. And then your hand depends on what's in the middle. With your 2 cards. So you have 2 cards, and then there's 6. So you take the best 3 cards out of those 6, but they turn over 1 at a time. It's not 6 at a time. So they turn over 1 card. So now you got 3 cards. You're like, well, I might have a good hand because I've got 2 kings, and now they turned over a king, and now I've got 3 of a kind. So I'm going to bet hard because I feel like I'm winning this hand.
Okay.
And if I get a 4th king, the chances are very low that somebody can beat me.
Right.
And it's gambling, right?
Yeah.
So then one by one, they turn them over, right? Yep. And then at the end, it's like, and along the way, you can fold.
Or
Okay.
a bet.
Or bet.
Or bet more.
I'm gonna
Okay.
need to watch a YouTube video for that.
It's
Yeah.
classic poker. Classic poker with 5 cards. Best out of 5 wins. So it could come all the way up just like straight to a flush. So it's just classic poker in that way. And you play with your 2 cards based off of those 6 cards there.
Yeah.
And each one gets turned over as the game progresses, and you bet or check or fold, or you go all in.
Yeah.
I see.
I want to do it.
And
Is there
so-
any, why Texas? I mean, is there?
Texas is where it started.
Wait, you said
Oh,
New
not
Orleans.
Illinois.
Well,
See now,
it
now,
got its
now
start in New Orleans, but it came into casinos in Texas. So the Texas casinos were the first one to pick them up. So that's
So that's
why
how Texas got attached to the name.
The name.
Ah.
Yeah, and
So
then
maybe
what
it
is
was
it?
just called Hold'em before it went to casinos in Texas?
it was just called Hold'em in Texas. No one called it Texas Hold'em in Texas.
Oh, so when it left Texas. So you
Got it.
you see how Texas leaves a stamp on things.
Right, yeah.
Right.
Heavy influence,
Oh,
AJ.
I see.
Kind of like your T-bone, okay? That's came from Texas. It's for a T.
Texas.
T for Texas, right?
And today, like Texas Hold'em is on TV, which I think was kind of weird when it first came out, like maybe 10, 15 years ago. Like, is this a sport?
Well,
And
is it
now
a
it's
sport?
firmly kind of in that realm of sporting television.
Okay.
And it kind of was the first game that people were watching the way now, like Twitch gamers, like kids watch people play video games.
Yeah.
Which
Exactly.
is fucking weird to me.
Me
Right.
too,
Yeah, me
man.
too.
But,
Yeah,
but
sure.
like
Very
take someone
strange.
from the old days and say, oh, who wants to watch someone play poker? They probably would have found that strange too.
Yep.
But now it's on TV and you can really learn a lot from the commentators and then from watching what these professional players do. And then you get invested in them and their
Yeah.
bets. And so it is a fun thing to watch.
Okay. Can you cheat?
No.
You can.
Oh.
So
dear.
Shoot you through the bottom of the
Yeah,
table, bro.
exactly.
I played a lot in Arizona when I moved to Arizona, and my friend was a big weed dealer, and he's got me started in Texas Hold'em.
Okay.
And he taught me a lot of rules because you can cheat very easily. So that's why someone has to cut the deck to your left. Once you shuffle the cards, someone to your left cuts the deck.
Okay.
Because you could have saw that bottom card or whatnot when you were shuffling, and you can
Right.
cheat. There's a way to do it. There's a couple other ways too to cheat as well.
Okay.
So how's that?
You can mark a card.
Okay, now we know he's
Now
cheating.
we know. Yeah, he's a
right?
cheater.
So
Okay, cool,
if
cool.
it gets serious, we can bring brand new decks before we play, and that's unopened. And that's, So if you want to get real serious, so if the cheating starts to get accused of, we can start. We have rules and things we can start to do.
Yeah. Do you
There's
earn money?
levels.
Oh, big time, Mary.
Yes.
There's huge tournaments all over the world. And these professional players are multi-millionaires.
No shit.
Yeah, they'll make like a couple mil at one tournament, but there's like
One person does.
one
like
person,
golf.
but you got to pay like
Whoa, yeah,
$5,000 to enter, or whatever the entry fee is.
Right.
And there might be 300 guys trying to make it down to the top 10, or the top 10, or maybe the top 50 get paid, and one guy makes a couple mil.
Highly competitive.
Yes, and that actually gets a lot of people to get together. Sometimes you have a coworker or a family member that just won't hang out with anybody, but you mentioned $200 for hanging out, and the next thing you know, they're right there at the table having a blast. So
Wow.
the money
Interesting.
gets people involved. Yeah. But it doesn't matter at the end of the night. I promise you that.
Everybody's loaded.
Yeah, everybody's having a good time. That's the best part about poker, about card games. Everybody's having a blast. You know?
Liquor in the front, poker in the back,
Now,
Mary.
you already said that. We don't need to hear it twice.
That was off air, Mary.
Oh, that's sorry.
Oopsie. All right, Nathan, now it's time for you to play Board of Board Games.
Before your game controller had control of you, family entertainment at home was sort of a roll of the dice. Now let's see if you can name the game. This is Board of Board Games.
Hey, bro, may as well stick with the game theme, don't you think, Nathan?
Yes, keep it going.
Man, he's got his brow all furrowed.
I know he's very serious.
I'm ready. It's a game mode.
Okay.
Yeah, face, I guess.
Well, for those of us who didn't grow up with the Oculus Rift like Wes's kids, we learned how to roll the dice early in life. Oh, yeah, I go over there, man, and they put the Oculus Rift on my head, and they make me walk off a plank and stuff. I'm like, what the hell? All kinds of crazy games these days, Mary.
Those
We
kids.
might do it for real one day. You never know.
Walk the plank. All right,
You don't
number
want to
one.
get kicked off Hash Hole Island.
Number one. This is a party game suitable for players of all ages, where teams take turns drawing and guessing the words or phrases being depicted. For instance, if a player were attempting to depict the word poop, they would draw a bearded Lorax squatting over a compost pile at the base of a conifer tree. Please note that it has nothing to do with picking the dusty boogers developed by dry pollen and magpie feathers commonly seen in the bearded Lorax's habitat during the summer months.
Rawr.
What game is this, Nathan? I gave you plenty of clues, bro.
So many clues.
Sounds like Scrabble, but I'm going to say Pictionary.
That's correct.
Okay.
I don't think you draw pictures for Pictionary, bro.
Sounded like it. Sounded like it.
Okay. Hey, man, this guy knows what he's doing.
It's really smart.
That weed works, man.
Right?
Apparently.
It's Zatix. All right, number 2. This one makes vocabulary lessons fun. It is played by placing letters horizontally or vertically on a board to make a word. There's even an app for playing with friends. Note, if you spell the word bearded, you get an extra 50 points for using all your tiles.
Wow. Well, what could it be?
Who knows, Mary? It could be any game.
Scrabble.
Correct. He answered the second one
It's
and
like
the
I knew
first
the
one.
answers, actually.
This guy's a true player. He knows his game.
Right.
Okay, and number 3. You ready, bro?
Yes.
Dude knows his bearded Loraxes as well, Mary.
Well,
Here we go. This is a game where the bearded Lorax builds a meal that begins with a handful of abandoned beaver dam clog with shaved down redwood bark, baby evergreen cones, wiggling termites, and ground cedar leaves, all sautéed on a hot granite stone and paired with freshly picked salmon berries for a delicious morning meal. It's not Scrabble.
that looks good.
AJ said, ooh,
And it's a
you're
game.
insulting our co-host.
Game with all that food. Candyland is all that comes to mind.
That's incorrect.
Good
It's
guess.
not Scrabble. It's called Scramble. Yeah.
Scramble.
That's right. This is a game that the
This
bearded
one.
Lorax plays with Sophie Lorax when she refuses to eat and would rather spend the day reading Captain Underpants and straightening her hair, but her father hides the flat iron until she eats a nutritious breakfast.
This is a smart move, Lorax. It's the way to handle the children.
And the carrot and the stick.
Absolutely.
If you want to discover cannabis news, reviews, entertainment, and culture, and explore every Leaf magazine at your convenience, search leafmagazines.com. Coming up in our second segment, we'll dive into other poker games that are fun when you're stoned, and we'll get another spin of AJ's Wheel and kick it all off with another episode of Where in the World with Mary J. White. Leaf Life continues in just a moment.
These products have intoxicating effects and may be habit-forming.
Marijuana can impair concentration, coordination, and judgment.
Do not operate a vehicle or machinery under the influence of this drug.
There may be health risks associated with consumption of these products.
For use by adults 21 and older.
Keep out of the reach of children.
Some of the wardrobe, including Ricker Wes's sick lids, provided by Grassroots California. Check out the dopeness at grassrootscalifornia.com.